Hello, Hillsborough. It's Hilary. So April is Water Conservation Month. And I have a question for you. Are you the type of person that leaves the water on or turns it off when you brush your teeth? Which one are you? Okay, I just have to say that I do turn it off. I'm not trying to say that I'm amazing, but I do turn it off. My husband keeps it on. But we're talking water conservation during this podcast, and we talk with Anthony from Environmental Services. And what we learn is that there are so many ways throughout our day that we're wasting water, and we're also wasting money. So we're going to learn a lot of tips and tricks on how to save the environment and save on your wallet. You're not going to want to miss this one.
Hello, Hillsborough.
So Tyler, which one are you? Do you keep your water on or off when you brush your teeth?
Hey, Hilary, how's it going?
Don't ignore the question, and also hi.
Oh, hi.
I know we usually say hi, hello.
Yeah,
But I'm
usually.
getting right into it. This is a pop quiz.
Those days are over, I guess. We just quiz each other. Fine. What's the first?
Okay, so when you brush your teeth, are you a person that leaves the water on or turns it off?
I leave it on,
Okay,
honestly. I know you're supposed to turn it off, right?
It's okay. It's okay, but I do have to know
Hey,
now.
don't tell Anthony.
Do you? I'm not going to tell him.
Okay.
Okay, do you check your faucets for leaks?
No, are you supposed to do that?
You are. What about your toilets? Make sure they're not leaking.
No.
Okay, we've got to talk to Anthony.
Yeah, apparently so. You really called me out there on my lack of water conservation knowledge.
I think at the end of this podcast, you're going to be a changed man. If there's anyone in the county that's going to teach us about water conservation, it is Anthony.
Well, let's talk to him.
Hello, Hillsborough.
Anthony, thank you for stopping by to tell us all about Water Conservation Month. Before we get too far into that, though, I was thinking on the way over here about water conservation and what that means. I think everybody assumes something different about that. Like if you say water conservation to me, I'm going to think, I'm going to turn my faucets off when I'm brushing my teeth or something. But it's probably on a much grander scale than that.
Definitely. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that if you look at global water, if you don't count salt water and glaciers, all that's left is about 1% of water that's available for us to use. And, just keeping that in perspective, people really kind of start to realize wow, we live in this kind of privileged area where there is a reliable water supply and, maybe I should be a better steward about it. So really my working definition of water conservation is, having good practices that ensure you and future generations keep having that reliability.
And those are small things that you can do inside your home or in your yard or while you're at work. One thing that comes to my mind is for me, some utilizing a reusable water bottle. I know that's a small thing, but not using those plastic water bottles and just refilling it. I feel like you end up drinking, for me, I end up drinking less water by doing that. I don't know.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I mean, everybody's got a different method. Some people take shorter showers. They set a 5-minute timer. Maybe they did 10 minutes before that and they have their water. Probably the most potent way to reduce your water if you are an outdoor water user for irrigation is to get on a consistent schedule. University of Florida's extension office with us has a lot of good resources like the Master Gardener program and Florida Friendly Landscaping. And they have some great people on staff that can really walk you through how to use a smart controller or a rain sensor or whatever you've added to your house recently and get you on a good cycle that adheres to current water rulings, which at the moment we're at a 2-day-a-week rule. It varies by address. The last number of your address is what determines that. Keep in mind, though, that is subject to change during the dry season, which technically we're already in, but it really peaks in April and May.
So is that why Water Conservation Month is in April?
Yeah. That's kind of the start of the peak of drought season for Florida. Typically, there's a joke I always say at presentations. A lot of people growing up heard April's showers bring May's flowers. And whoever made that was not a Floridian. That had to have been another country or another part of America because it's quite the opposite in Florida. Usually our rainy season starts in, maybe late May, early June. And it's certainly not April and May. So
it would be, what would the saying be in Florida? It would be
April's drought brings
yes,
May's
yes.
dead grass.
Yeah. No, I like the doubt. Yeah, dead grass. No, it's so true. I mean, really, and like
we've had other topics where we've covered things like that. Well, in Florida, that doesn't really.
Like Florida's just this place that makes no sense except for us living here.
Because I've heard that expression before, and I just think no, it doesn't.
Yeah, no. I feel like, and you're not allowed, but I feel like I want to have my water running in my yard all the time because I don't want my grass to die.
Yeah,
but that's why you shouldn't have the grass that I have, which is the worst kind. What is it called?
St. Augustine.
St. Augustine.
Yeah, and unfortunately, St. Augustine is very, very popular. From my understanding of history, we can thank the British and French nobles for that one. That was
it's just so bright green and it feels great on your feet.
Wow, I didn't know it goes back that far.
Yeah. I didn't know either.
Guys, I walked into this room knowing nothing about grass.
I have royal historical grass in my yard. Who knew?
And it is a very water thirsty grass, and unfortunately, it's like I said, it's very popular, and especially if people are prone to overwatering, it can develop very shallow root growth, which makes the problem even worse. So you kind of get in this never ending domino effect where it retains water even less, and then you have to water more, and it just kind of cascades into a greater and greater issue. So Florida Friendly Landscaping is a great resource because they can teach you how to condition your grass to account for that seasonal change, and it'll start to grow deeper roots into the soil column.
We kind of skipped over your office and the role y'all play and what you do, and so let's kind of go back to that a little bit. Can you talk about what y'all do on a daily basis?
Yeah. So I'm located in the office on the corner of Falkenberg and Columbus, and it's the environmental services division that I fall under. And my coworkers are also involved in stormwater and adopt-a-pond programs, that kind of stuff. Me specifically, I do the water conservation side of it. So I'll try to connect people with groups like University of Florida's Extension, Tampa Bay Water's rebate programs like the toilets, and they do outdoor stuff as well. So they got a lot of options for people who want to adopt those water conservation friendly technologies. And then occasionally I do tag along with the stormwater guys and try to help them out with some of their stuff. Maybe I'll go to an event and we'll do a dual table, and we'll kind of have both things available for the public to be more informed about. So it's a nice mix.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is the most common thing you hear from residents about why they think they're wasting water? Or
That's a good question. A lot of times when they're calling me, it is just genuinely a leak. It's, maybe the sprinkler system's old, or it's an old toilet or something. But sometimes it's just, hey, I'm not from here. I'm from Chicago, and the grass is totally different. And I'm used to watering every day. We didn't have water restrictions. And now I'm not used to that. And maybe their rate was a much, different rate in terms of how much they were charged. So sometimes it's just working that out and getting them adjusted to the new ecosystem they're in.
Well, and you could waste so much water by not touching your irrigation system and just letting it go every day. That's an insane amount of water loss, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's up to 50% of your water bill, they say, is I think SwiftMud, Southwest Florida Water Management District. I believe they're the ones who made that statement. And it was 50% of your bill can be that. So depending on how much
Something
your bill is, that can be hundreds of dollars potentially, right. Especially if you have a large lawn.
What are some other common things around the house that can cause some water waste?
Yeah.
Leaving the sink on while you brush your teeth. I know it sounds silly because it's only a couple minutes, but you do that every day for a month, it'll start to add up. Maybe not using a full dishwasher. A lot of people are kind of guilty of using half or a quarter. I'm not saying don't use a dishwasher, but maybe try to use it when it's at its max capacity. That would be a little more wise. Leaky toilet, like I mentioned, is a good example. And really, it's kind of hard to address this one because pools are very popular in Florida. But refilling a pool over and over again, maybe you have some sort of fault in your system with that. That can get really out of control pricey too. Yeah, definitely. And there is a cap. The billing has a cap for wastewater, where I don't remember the exact amount off the top of my head, but for people who are refilling their pools, they don't get whammied by this, $20 million bill, and it caps it out at a certain value. So there is a little bit of a safeguard in place for the residents for that.
Cool.
So these are the little things that we can all do around our homes and, with each other, but where do we see the benefits locally? Where does that factor in?
Well, the most immediate one is ideally your water bill will go down. But in terms of other people, it is admittedly a little bit of a harder resource to see the immediate benefits for. It should, in theory, reduce runoff. A lot of times when you're fertilizing your lawn, things like nitrogen is leaching into the groundwater when you overwater, and phosphorus will run off in the surface water body. So, on the long-term scale, that'll affect the watershed in a positive way if you reduce those factors. And then it just also ensures that there's more water to go around going forward into the future.
It's interesting because we're surrounded by water here. So in my mind, I'm like, we have so much water. It's just everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of those things where, until you kind of see another perspective, I've had the privilege of working in a few other countries that are quite water stressed. And, it's one of those things where, wow, you see people who they got to walk 4 hours a day to go get water. And, here I am turning on the faucet and it takes
is a privilege,
a half a second. But, that said, on a global scale, we are definitely the minority. That is not very common. And we just live in a world that has a very developed public water supply. And, if we're not good stewards about it, it could go away. Not to sound too dour about the future, but, we got to be careful with it.
It's just a very, very interesting predicament. And seems like very creative solutions are required to approach.
Yeah, there's no one right answer. It's a takes a village kind of mentality for sure.
So if our listeners are feeling like they're starting from scratch and they don't know anything about this and they want to research a little bit more, where should they go?
So they can go to our website if you want. That is hcfl.gov/water or water conservation. Either one should probably get you where you need to be. And then if they're interested more in the Florida friendly stuff or maybe the Master Gardener program, there's County Extension. And finally, if they're interested in replacing something like a new technology or maybe they're just interested in what is available for rebates, they can go to tampabaywaterwise.org.
It's awesome.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much for being here. It's really a pleasure talking to you and about all of this.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well.
Hello, Hillsborough.
Well, you were right. He was the expert, is the expert.
It's so fun listening to him because you're like, on one hand, I'm doing everything right. And on the other hand, I need to really change my ways.
Well, and he's the type of person, when you're done talking to him, you feel a bit more equipped to handle these things. And like he said, it's not one particular thing that we're all doing or not doing. It's just the little things that you can, little changes you can make to help the cause.
And it's a team effort for sure.
For sure. Well, since you opened with a quiz.
Okay, Tyler's straightening up. Like he's sitting straighter. Something's happening.
I have a quiz for you.
Oh gosh. Payback.
This quiz is not about water conservation though.
Oh.
Yeah. This is about every episode we've done of Hello Hillsborough so far.
No, it's not. Oh gosh.
No, I want to see how much you remember from all of our time hosting the show. All right. This is easy. Are there more than 25 library locations or less than 25 library locations across Hillsborough County?
There are more.
That is correct.
Yes.
Although you and Shelley you guys are friends.
Yeah, honestly, libraries and we are with each other in our hearts.
Does storm surge apply to flood zones or evacuation zones?
Storm surge applies to evacuation zones.
2 for 2.
Yes.
Jeez. All right. This is a hard one. Can plastic bags be recycled curbside?
Ooh, this is where you're going to get me. Can plastic bags be recycled curbside? And my answer is yes.
No.
Really? Yeah, no.
You can't,
oh man.
No. Throw those things in the trash. Do
not. I have to re-listen to that one.
Yeah.
With Danny.
Isn't this fun?
I remember who we Yes. This is not fun. No, I don't know why.
Next question.
God.
Can dogs participate in the annual hiking spree, which goes to the end of April?
Yes, they can participate. Maybe not at all locations, but they can.
And where can people adopt those dogs?
They can adopt them at the Pet Resource Center.
And what's the name of my small business I want to start?
It involves movies and haircuts, but I forget what it's cutting room. The cutting room.
Right at the buzzer, she gets it.
Guys.
All right. Well, you did better than I thought you would.
I should have listened to all the podcasts last night before I went to bed, just one after the other.
And real quick, since you did so good, how's that New Year's resolution going? Less coffee drinking? Are you doing okay with that?
Okay? I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I completely failed. I think I'm drinking more coffie.
You could have lied. We wouldn't have known.
I'm jittery right now with how much coffee I'm drinking. What about you, Tyler? Have you been flossing your teeth, Mr. Quizmaster over there?
I don't want to say that I haven't been because that's not true. But the thing about flossing.
Okay. Did you write out this answer?
Why don't we just close the show? We'll go get some coffee right now, and then I'll brush my teeth.
Floss our teeth. Okay, perfect.
All right. But if you are like Hillary and maybe missed a couple of things from the past
I only missed one.
Okay.
I only missed one question.
All of our episodes are available right now. You can go listen to them wherever you get your podcast. There's some really fun conversations in there, and we talk to some really smart people, and we learn a lot too. So go check those out if you haven't already.
Yeah, definitely. Go give them a listen. You'll learn so much about the county that you live in, and so much more to come too.
Definitely. So stick around. And since our show is called Hello Hillsborough, we don't say goodbye here, but what we do say is thank you so much for joining us. However you spend your day, we really appreciate you taking the time to listen. Remember to click that subscribe button so you never miss a new episode.
And be sure to follow your favorite county on social media. We are at Hillsborough FL on all the platforms. And for more information on everything Hillsborough County, visit hcfl.gov. I'm Hilary.
I'm Tyler.
Until next time.